Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another study in the Torah portion. This week we studied the portion of Yitro. We studied the second talk of the Rebbe in selections from the Likutei Sichos. The questions I'm going to share with you by heart. This week's Torah portion named after Moshe's father-in-law, and we read about the 10 commandments, the giving of the Torah. God come down on Mount Sinai and make a covenant with Jewish people. This was exactly 7 weeks after they left Egypt. There are 2 points that the rabbi is going to address, which both would be an argument between 2 major sages, Tanaim, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Ishmael. The first thing the rabbi starts with is that the words that precede the 10 commandments, before God gives the Torah, before God starts speaking the 10 commandments, it says, "Vaydaber Elokim et kol advarim ha'ele leimor." God spoke all the following teachings, leimor. What does leimor means? Saying. The commentators don't understand why the word leimor, saying, belongs here. Usually, leimor is when Hashem speaks to Moshe to teach the Jewish people. Vayomer Elokim el Moshe lemor, meaning God spoke to Moshe to teach the Jewish people. Leimor means saying, teach it to someone. Says the Rebbe, it cannot apply to the 10 commandments. Why? Because they all were there hearing it at the same time as Moshe heard. In addition, for the 10 commandments, we are told that all the souls of future generations, me and you, all of us, even the converts who were there at the foot of Mount Sinai and heard Hashem speak. That's the covenant he made with us. So for who did Hashem said the words leimor, saying, it's inappropriate. Vaydaber Hashem et advarim ha'ele. God spoke the following words, Anochi, I am your God. The second question, therefore the Mechilta, the Medrash, says that the answer is lemor means that the Jewish people spoke back to God. They replied, they answered. Okay, so lemor usually means to teach others. Here, by the Ber Hashem, Elokim, et kol advarim ha'ele, God spoke all the following words. Lemor, meaning to them, they have replied back in agreement. What were they saying? What did they say? So there are 2 opinions. The first opinion is, Rabbi Ishmael said, they would say yes for a positive precept and no to a negative. For example, I am the God, you Lord, that took you out of Egypt. They would say yes. Do not worship any other God. They would say no. Don't steal. No. Don't murder. No. Honor your father and mother. Yes. And al hein hein ve'alav lav. And a positive, they said yes. And a negative, they would say no. Rabbi Akiva disagrees with Rabbi Ishmael and says they always said yes. When God says, I am the God, you Lord, they said yes. Do not worship any other gods, they would say yes. Says the Rabbi, I don't understand, what's the difference? Both of them agree that the response was in acceptance of the commandment. Mm-hmm. So one say, if God says don't kill, they said no, meaning we will not kill. Rabbi Akiva said, they said, yes, we will keep that mitzvah and will not kill. So why are they arguing over that? That's the first question the Rebbe is asking. The second question, the Rebbe says, there is another argument between the same 2 sages, Rabbi Ishmael and Rabbi Akiva. It says, regarding the 10 commandments, immediately after the 10 commandments, v'chol ha'am, the entire people, ro'im et hakolot, they see the sounds. That's what it says. What did they see? What did they hear? Rabbi Ishmael said, they saw that which is visible. For example, the torches, the lapidim. There were torches that came down with God. They saw it. They saw the flashing or lights. Veshom'in, and they heard the sounds, the voices. So according to Rabbi Ishmael, they saw what you see and they heard what you hear. Comes Rabbi Akiva and says, no. V'chol ha'am ro'im et hakolot. They see that which you can hear and they heard that which you can see. He reverses it. In other words, it was a miracle. Says the Rebbe, I don't understand. God does not make a miracle for no reason. There must be a purpose. In other words, part of the giving of the Torah must be that it includes this kind of conduct. So therefore, according to Rabbi Akiva, what's the purpose of changing nature that you can see the voices and you can hear the sounds? That's number one. Then the Rebbe says, according to Rabbi Ishmael, as we'll discover later in JLI next week, it is obvious. Why does it have? If, according to Rabbi Ishmael, they saw the vision, they heard the sounds, why does it have to say that to us? It's naturally, they were healthy people, right? I see vision and I hear sound. So why does the Torah says, B'chol ha'am ro'in, all the people saw the voices? Meaning, according to Rabbi Ishmael, they heard the visions and they saw the sound. They saw the visions and they heard the sounds. In other words, it was all natural conduct, no miracle. Why does the Torah bother? So the question is both, twofold. According to Rabbi Akiva, why is it important to have that miracle? According to Rabbi Ishmael, why is the Torah mentioning that? There must be a reason, otherwise it wouldn't be mentioned. Yes, Harry.
I can see the miracle of seeing words. They actually saw the words instead of just hearing them. But hearing, what's the miracle in hearing?
The flames. They heard the flames.
What do you according to Rabbi Akiva, you're asking when they say that they saw the voices.
They saw the sounds which appeared as floating in front of them. They saw it.
They saw it.
Right.
They saw the sounds.
What was the miracle in hearing something?
They heard that which you can see.
Flames.
You can see flame. They heard the flames. It came through their ears. That's according to Rabbi Akiva. According to Rabbi Ishmael, it was simple. So again, to summarize the second question that I was asking, according to Rabbi Akiva, there was a miracle because they can see something you usually hear, and they heard something you can usually see. But why was it important? It must be part of the giving of the Torah. According to Rabbi Ishmael, that's Rabbi Akiva. According to Rabbi Ishmael, that they saw what you see and they heard what you hear. Why is the Torah bothering to mention that? Says the Rebbe the following. The fact that there is two opinions and both are in the same name, 277. The fact that both opinions are of the same sages, in regard to the same topic, which is the giving of the Torah, and must be connected with each other. So again, according to Rabbi Ishmael, they said yes to positive and no to negative. According to Rabbi Ishmael, they saw vision and they heard sounds. According to Rabbi Ishmael, according to Rabbi Akiva, they said yes to positive and yes to negative. They also saw the voices and they heard the vision. There must be interconnected. The Rebbe goes on much deeper. The Rebbe says, what does Rashi hold? Rashi, when he explains the text, how does he follow? No, the Rebbe says, Rashi in one place follows Rabbi Ishmael, the second is follows Rabbi Akiva. And pay attention to that. Rashi says that when it comes to Leimor, saying, remember what we said that they replied back? He follows Rabbi Ishmael, that they said yes to a positive and no to a negative. In other words, he held Rabbi Ishmael, not Rabbi Akiva. But when it says, V'chol ha'am ro'im et hakolot, all the people saw the voices, Rashi takes only one half. Rashi says that they saw that which you can hear. It doesn't say they heard that you can see.
Okay.
They only, in other words, the miracle was only in the vision, but not in hearing. Rashi could have bought both because that's Rabbi Akiva. According to Rabbi Ishmael, there is no miracle. According to Rabbi Akiva, you see is a vision, is a miracle,
two miracles.
and you hear is a miracle.
Two miracles.
According to Rashi, they only saw the sounds. And in other words, not only he keeps now Rabbi Akiva, he changed from Limor, but he also takes Rabbi Akiva only in one half, only regarding vision. Did you understand that? Says the Rebbe. So again, I hope you are able to follow. Dick, are you able to follow?
Yes.
Ali?
Yes.
Okay. Says the Rebbe, let's understand the difference between hearing and seeing, where there are two components that both are interconnected with each one of those talents, which these senses. Vision is something that's engraved deeply in my soul in a way that it will not change. If I saw somebody walking by and you tell me this guy is not around, is in Israel, I won't believe you. I won't accept that. Once you see something, it engraves in your soul so deep that it cannot be erased. Is that clear? That's why the rule is Ein ed na'aseh dayan. A witness to a crime or to an event cannot become a judge, because a judge has to be free of preconceived notion. He has to judge based on the evidence in front of him. A judge who witnessed the event, he's already, we call it bias, because no one can convince him otherwise. So if someone witnessed the event, he will not never serve as a judge. That's vision. Hearing, on the other hand, I can hear something and you can convince me that it's totally different. You heard it wrong, right? We can change. So that's one distinction between seeing and hearing. Is that clear? Here is the second one. Says the Rebbe, seeing is only about physical objects. What can you see? You cannot see the idea that I'm sharing with you. You can only see the table, the ocean, the car, the person. Hearing is not about physical, it's about spiritual matter. I hear your idea. I know what you want, right? I love you. It's hearing. I hear your words, I want to see action. Hearing is more of a spiritual, deeper than seeing. Says the Rebbe, that's why the first distinction. Because we are physical beings, we are more connected to the physicality and materialistic component of the universe than the spirituality. Therefore, when I see, I can only see physical, but my body is a physical with physical senses. That's why I can bond with it much deeper. Hearing, on the other, because it's on a spiritual level, therefore it can connect to me only in a, we call it makif, an external, and therefore somebody can shlog. Shlog in Yiddish means prove otherwise, because it's not internalized so deep as seeing. Is that clear? Did you understand? Ali, did you understand that? Okay, so again, the distinction between hearing and seeing. Seeing is very clear. No one can make me change my mind. But seeing is only on physical objects. You cannot, when I say I see what you mean, it means it's very clear by me, but I don't see. You don't see. You heard that. But the hearing is so clear that it's like a vision. That's one. Hearing, on the other hand, is shakeable. You can shake my hearing. You can change my mind. You can make sure that what I hear is incorrect, that now I hear something opposite. And the reason is because hearing is more of a spiritual realm. It's in the spiritual realm. It's about something that's unknown physically. You can't see it. And therefore, because I'm a physical human being and my senses are bound by my ears and eyes, you can shake it, you can change it, because it's not, it wasn't grabbed that deep with my body. Is that clear? Do we understand? Says the Rebbe, now we can understand why, according to Rabbi Akiva, what they see is what you usually hear, and what they heard is what you usually see. Because on the giving of the Torah, God made the human being to be like angels. They were elevated in the spiritual sense that overtaken their body. So what's the most important component? The ingredients that most felt in their existence is spirituality. Therefore, their hearing has become so strong,
They can see.
just like what I see. The hearing was so engraved in their soul and so connected to them, just like when I see something. In other words, it's unshakable. No one can make me change my mind. But vision is about the physicality. Now it became a level of hearing. It can be shaken. You know why? Because they are spiritual beings. Spiritual beings, you show them something physical, it's just like me hearing something spiritual. In other words, the roles are reversed. Did you understand that? To me, it's genius the way the Rabbi explains it. Do you get it now, right? Now we understand, says the Rabbi, why, according to Rabbi Akiva, it wasn't a miracle for no reason. It wasn't a miracle. It's an outcome directly from the way, the covenant God is making with the Jewish people. God comes down on Mount Sinai. He wants them to bond with God. In order for them to bond with God, they become spiritual beings for the moment. And therefore, the covenant, the promise, the words of God become engraved in their soul in a deepest level possible. Just like for me as a physical human being, his sin is so strong. For them, the words, the spirituality has become that strong, that priority. Hearing, that for me is secondary, for them becomes priority, primary. The sin usually walks on physical object. They are spiritual beings. For them, it took secondary. That's so far Rabbi Akiva. Okay? Let's see what Rabbi Ishmael. Here is what the Rabbi is saying. The Rabbi is bringing an example. I'm going to go over the example very quick. Hopefully, I'll make a good, I won't do this service. There he says, imagine you have two people who are debating over a piece of garment. They found a piece of garment, and everyone says it belongs to me. What do? They go to court. The court listens to all the evidence, and then the court issues that they are going to swear. Everyone takes an oath that no less than half of it is mine. So they shouldn't lie. They shouldn't lie in the swearing. And then the court orders that they cut it in half. Each one gets a half. Is that clear? So says the Rebbe, you have three components here. You have the litigants. They are fighting each other. You have the court, the judges, who have to listen to all the evidence and render a verdict. And you have the marshal. The marshal is the police officer who is forcing the law, making sure it's all happened. Says the Rebbe, the event that took place included all three, but each one of the three people is interested in only two of them. For example, says the Rebbe, the litigants themselves are interested in only two things: the ruling of the court and the bailiff and the marshal who cuts the law, who makes sure it happens. All the evidence and the discussion and the ruling is not, they're not interested in. The policeman, all interested is in the ruling. He has no idea about the discussion and the evidence. He has no idea what the people want. He was told, make sure they cut it in half or sell it, and 50-50 it goes. He's going to make sure. And then you have the judge. The judge couldn't care less about what exactly the ruling. They care about what the deals, what the evidence are here. Based on the evidence, they render an issue. Says the Rebbe, here is the way the Rebbe explains. I'm reading on page 283. To apply this concept to those previously explained, both the world's physical existence and the spiritual vitality that maintains it do exist. In other words, in our universe, we have physical and spiritual. The question is, which is perceived to which, and which is real to a person? Ordinarily, what is real is the world's material reality. Its spiritual vitality is only abstract. At the giving of the Torah, the Jews' reality changed. The spiritual became real, and the physical was merely something that they knew about intellectually. So it's just like I explained, Rabbi. I explained it very well, I believe, without that example. Is that clear so far?
Good.
Now we need to understand Rabbi Ishmael. Rabbi Ishmael said there was no miracle, right? They saw that what you see, and they heard that you hear. And the question is, why the Torah bother telling it to us? Says the Rebbe. Here is the way that the Rebbe explains. The idea that God gave us the Torah, how did it all started? It started with God lowering himself down into this world. The question is why? Why shouldn't God elevate the Jewish people up to the level of angels and give them the Torah then? And the answer is God wanted the Jewish people in a finite, physical, materialistic universe and obey God. So therefore, who had to make a change? Not the Jewish people, but God. God had to come down. That's why Vayered Hashem al Har Sinai. Had God elevated the Jew to the level of God, then they were not obligated to serve God in the physical universe, because they can say, bring us back to that realm, and then we'll obey you. Where does God want us to obey and serve God? In this physical world, and therefore he has to come down to this world, in the finite world. Says Rabbi Akiva, therefore it's impossible that God had changed their nature to make them more spiritual, connect to their spiritual as primary and physical secondary. That will miss the whole point of the giving of the Torah. The Torah had to be given in the physical boundaries of this universe, with the people living in this physical world. And therefore, what is physical to them was primary. Hearing what you hear. Seeing what you see, And what you hear, you can hear, not see. Why? So that they are able to be obligated and have no excuse to serve God in this physical universe. That's Rabbi Ishmael disagreeing with Rabbi Akiva. So now it's not such a minor disagreement based on Kabbalah. Yes, Harry.
Did you tell us that the Jews were elevated to the level of angels?
That's Akiva. Rabbi Ishmael's disagree.
Rabbi Ishmael disagree.
So what is the final solution?
Just a minute.
The old story, just a minute. I'll start doing that for you.
Thank you.
Cut to the chase. No.
The Rebbe asks, so why is there the argument between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Ishmael? Why couldn't they agree? Says the Rebbe, each one came from a different background. I'm giving you a summary. Rabbi Ishmael was a high priest. He was a high priest.
According to some.
What does a high priest entail? A tzaddik, a perfect human being. As a perfect human being, he had to be in this universe and perfect the world without any challenges. Rabbi Akiva, on the other hand, was a Baal Teshuvah. We all know Rabbi Akiva, the first 40 years, hated sages. He says, if they bring me a sage without anybody watching, I'll rip him apart 2 pieces. He hated. He didn't know how to read and write. Only by the time he turned 80, he became a sage. Later, he became a giant that kept the Torah for us. But Rabbi Akiva represents Baal Teshuvah, a penitent. And therefore, a penitent is going through the universe with great challenges. Therefore, says the Rebbe, that's why Rabbi Akiva all his life was desiring to do what? To die on sanctifying God. Anybody heard that?
Yeah.
Okay, we had anybody heard the parable of the fox and the fish? No? Some people are familiar. We had it in JLI, we skipped it yesterday.
Yeah, we just said.
Pappus ben Yehuda, a man, a Jew, at the time of Adrian decrees. Rabbi Akiva is from the 10 martyrs. He got killed in sanctifying God. Rabbi Akiva continued teaching Torah despite the decree that it's a death sentence. One time, Papus ben Yehuda, a Jew, met him. And he says to him, how dare you do that? Disobey the ruler, there will be no life for you. So Rabbi Akiva says to him, I'll give you a parable. The fox is the slyest of all animals. He walked by a stream of water and he saw a lot of fish running back and forth. So he figured he's going to be outsmart the fish to catch them. So he turned to the fish and he says, why are you in water running around back and forth? Why don't you come to dry land so we can live the way we used to live before the evolution that you got into the water? So the fish turned to him and says, you are smart? You are the smartest of all animals? You're very foolish. If in the source of our sustenance, which is water, we worry continuously for men catching us, casting a net on dry land, how much more so we should fear? And he meant to say that the fox is the Romans, and the fish is the Jewish people. So in the water is the Torah. He says, the Torah is, we have to immerse ourselves in Torah. And still we have to run away, be worried continuously from the fox or from humans. If we go to dry land, there is no chance of our survival. The Gemara continues on that later on he was caught and he was placed in jail before they, in a very cruel way, murdered him. He met Papi ben Yehuda was in jail with him, and Papi ben Yehuda says to him, Ashrecha, woe to you that you are here for teaching Torah and I here for mundane activities. So they ended up both meeting again. That's the Gemara. Back to Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva all his life wanted to elevate himself and remove. So before he died, he was very joyous, and his students watch him as he's being put to the fire. They ripped his skin with iron combs. And he was joyous. So they said to him, Ad Khan. They said, enough, too much. You're almost a loony. So he said to them, Kol Yamai, all my life I was awaiting, hoping that somebody will kill me for God's sanctity. And now that it came to me, I will not be joyous, I wouldn't be happy. And he died with a big smile on his face. By the way, he died at the age of 120. And he was a very healthy man for 120 years. In other words, he wanted to be away from the universe. He wanted to conduct a service of God which is discounting the universe. That's why he wanted that when God gives us the Torah, he gives us the ability to overcome the universe by jumping above, going above and beyond and becoming spiritual.
He wanted to avoid the car wash. He wanted to avoid the car wash.
I don't understand.
Straight up.
However, Rabbi Ishmael was a tzaddik. You know what a tzaddik means? He walks with this universe and all the temptations don't bother him because he has already killed his evil. And therefore, he felt that what you hear is what God spoke to our ears, and what you see is what God showed us. Let's continue. Now, we did not get to the answers. Why yes, yes, and no, no, right? Okay, so here is the answer of the Rebbe. The Rebbe, I'm going to read some of it, and then I'll explain the difference between yes, yes, or yes, no. Remember the yes, no, yes, yes? Page 286, number 9. On the basis of the above explanations, we can also understand these sages' different interpretations of the Jews' response to the Ten Commandments. In general, says Rebbe, there are two dimensions to the mitzvot. The mitzvot, when I serve God with eating kosher, with celebrating Shabbat, etc., there are two dimensions. A, the factors shared by all mitzvot, the common denominator that they are all God's commandments. One way, the king asks you, you do what the king asks. It doesn't matter. He asks me to eat, he asks me to fast. He asks me to eat dairy, he asks me to eat meat. It doesn't matter. I'm serving God. I use an example. If you serve in the army It doesn't matter what branch, what part, what's your degree, what your ranking, what you rank. You wear the uniform. You wear the uniform. You can be selling in Hebrew, we call it shekemist. There are people who are jobniks. They're looking for a job where they go to bed to their own bed every night because they sell the wafers and the soda to the soldiers in the barak, in the camp. It doesn't matter. You clean a weapon, you fix a car, you fight. You are wearing the uniform, so you're part of the army. That's one, serving God. So whatever God tells us, He's giving us another ability to serve Him. B, number two, the different categories into which mitzvot are placed, and the particulars and that characterize each one individually. For every mitzvah brings about a unique aspect of refinement in the person carrying out the mitzvah, and in the physical entities associated to the performance of every mitzvah individually. Then you have different divisions among the mitzvot. Someone who studied Torah brings this type of channel of energy, of blessing. Someone who say prayer, a different channel. So each mitzvah is tailored individually to bring in an individual blessing. Is that clear? So again, in every mitzvah I perform, there are two components. One, it's part of serving God, and in that way, all mitzvot are equally. And another part, which is unique to each mitzvah. Some mitzvot are in one way, some mitzvot are another. We're not dealing with better or worse or bigger and smaller. We're talking about each mitzvah. You give tzedakah, you have created a different energy. Ali, pay attention. The two paths of divine service, and consequently the two patterns of interpretation expressed by Rabbi Ishmael and Rabbi Akiva, respectively, are dependent on which of these two dimensions is emphasized. According to Rabbi Ishmael, who maintains that at Sinai the Jews saw that what is usually seen and heard, what is usually heard, the zenith of men's spiritual endeavors involve drawing down godliness and having it perceived in the world as it exists with all its specific natural structures. Therefore, the Jews' fulfillment of mitzvot should emphasize not only the general commitment of Kabbalat all, accepting the acceptance of God's yoke of the kingdom of heaven, pledging to fulfill God's will without reservations, but primarily a commitment to comprehend and dedicate oneself to accomplishing the particular dimension of refinement associated with each individual mitzvah. Rabbi Ishmael says it has to be done in this physical universe. No miracles, no change of the humans at the time of the covenant. Therefore, when God says study Torah, you change this universe in a certain way. When you pray, you change the universe in a different way. Every mitzvah draws a different component. Therefore, some you say yes, some you say no, because by no, you affect the universe differently. Therefore, Rabbi Ishmael maintains that the Jews answered yes to the positive commandments and no to the negative ones. They focused on the individual dimension of every mitzvah with regards to the positive mitzvot, the yes, the constructive dimension, the good and the loftiness, and the mitzvot possesses, and with regards to the negative mitzvot, the no, the adverse aspect of the behavior repudiated by these prohibitions. By contrast, Rabbi Akiva maintains that the zenith of men's spiritual endeavors involves rising above the world and its limitations. Accordingly, when fulfilling mitzvot, the emphasis is not on the specific aspect of refinement to which the observance of each particular mitzvah leads and the effect it brings about within the world, but on the person's obedience to the Creator's commands, a feeling that transcends all particular aspects and structures. Did you understand that? Rabbi Akiva, in other words, there is no debate that both exist. Whenever I perform a mitzvah, I first obey God in general. but also I bring in a channel, a particular channel into the universe that's unique to that mitzvah. And another mitzvah will bring another channel. Question is, what's the emphasis should be on when we make a covenant with God? Rabbi Ishmael says we have to refine the universe. We have to change the universe. Therefore, they got it while they are physical human beings with their limitations. And therefore, whenever the mitzvah is positive, they said yes. Whenever it's a negative behavior, be careful not to worship other gods, don't kill. They said, no, he won't. In other words, the emphasis is on the particular channel of each mitzvah. Rabbi Akiva, on the other hand, tried to elevate himself out of the universe. He's about teshuvah. He suffered. He was injured by the universe. So he wanted to serve God above all the limitations. Therefore, he says that when God made a covenant, we connected us above the universe. And therefore, when God gives us a commandment, we say yes to everything. Whatever you say, it's yes. It doesn't matter what the details are. I don't care about the channels. I care about serving God. For this reason, Rabbi Akiva maintains that the Jews answer yes to both the positive and the negative commandments. The primary focus was not on the particular aspects of each mitzvah, but on the general dimension, that they are God's commands, which is common to all the mitzvot. Therefore, they did not differentiate between the positive and negative mitzvot when responding. They answered with the same yes, whether the command involved by performing an action or observing a prohibition. They agreed to carry out whatever God commanded. The Rebbe continues on to many other points that we do not have the time. But now we understand that the Rebbe is going to explain why Rashi takes one part. He says he follows Rabbi Ishmael. The second half, only one half, he follows Rabbi Akiva. But it's beyond our discussion. So now we understand when Vaydaber Elokim et kol hadvarim haele leimor, when God spoke the words leimor, saying, meaning that the Jewish people responded. What did they respond? According to Rabbi Ishmael, they said yes to positive and no to negative. According to Rabbi Akiva, they said yes to everything. Another argument they had is when the Torah says that they saw the torture, they saw the flames. According to Rabbi Ishmael, they saw that what you see. According to Rabbi Akiva, they heard that what you see, and they saw that what you heard. Each one of them view the event in a different way. According to Rabbi Akiva, God elevated them to a state of angels. Therefore, spirituality became the primary connection of their life. And therefore, they saw that which you usually hear, and they heard, which is distant for them, that which you see, which is physical. Rabbi Ishmael maintained, no. They saw what you see, they hear what you hear. Says the Rebbe, Rabbi Ishmael is a Kohen Gadol. He served God in the universe within the finite limitations of the universe. Therefore, the bodies didn't change. According to Rabbi Akiva, it did change because Rabbi Akiva is a Baal Teshuvah. He skips over the boundaries of the universe, bonding to God and letting go. And that's how he can fight his temptation and difficulties. Now we can understand why, according to Rabbi Ishmael, they said yes, no. According to Rabbi Akiva, yes, yes. Rabbi Ishmael is focused on the detailed channels that each mitzvah brings, because it's about refining the universe. And therefore, each mitzvah refines the universe in a different way. Therefore, they said yes to positive and no to negative. Rabbi Akiva, on the other hand, is all about serving God. If I bond with God, it doesn't matter in what way. Not doing something or yes doing something, I'm bonding. So he said yes to everything God said. And that would conclude our study today. Thank you so much.
Beautiful summary.